We're live? Okay. All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's, what is today? December, January 25th. 25th, February. No. Good evening, everybody. Will everyone please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, well, let's see. I got the mistakes out of the way right off the bat, so we'll go from there. We'll see how many more we have throughout the evening. All right, we do a roll call, please.
Councilmember Clarici? Here. Councilmember Gottberg?
Here.
Vice Mayor No?
Here.
Mayor Saragosa?
Here.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We do not have any ceremonial matters this evening. Closed session report, we did not meet, so no closed session report. We'll move to item 5, which is adoption of the agenda.
I'll move the agenda.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, second. Ty.
Got to let her know.
Nicole can have it.
All right. Yeah. So we have a first and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Clarici?
Aye.
Councilmember Gottberg?
Aye.
Vice Mayor No?
Aye.
Mayor Saragosa?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll go to item 6, moving along, announcements, and we'll go to item 6.1, which are brief comments by the City Council, and we'll start with Councilmember Yarbrough.
None at this time.
All right, thank you, David. Councilmember Gottberg.
I attended the Cal City's new mayor and city council members conference last week, which was a good opportunity to find out more about the advocacy work that Cal Cities is doing on our behalf with the state and network with other new council members in the state.
Thank you, Nicole. Let's see, where am I going to go next? Vice. I was trying to mix it up.
We're on the edge of our seats.
I know. Vice Mayor No.
Let's see, David and I did the interviews for the Cannabis Committee. Michael and I went to Rotary and spoke. But most exciting is if you go to the website, there's now a button that says e-notifications, and you can sign up and get all of the agendas, newsletters, any information that you want to see that the city puts out, that you can just go and register for that. So please do that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jackie. John?
Today is the 175th anniversary of the discovery of gold.
That's right.
And so that's a monumentous event for the city, for the region, for the state, for the world. James Marshall, down in Coloma, looked into the tail race and saw something glitter, and he picked it up, and he told his friends, I believe I have found a gold mine. And within 3 years, this was a state, and 4 years after that, this was a city. Placerville is the 14th oldest city in California, dating all the way back to the beginning, almost. And so it's a good time, and it's something that we should all be thinking about. And since it's one of those ones that ends in a 5 or a 0, it's more important than the other ones. So anyway, 175th anniversary. And ironically, the Spaniards had been looking for gold for centuries, and it was discovered on January 24th, 1848, and then less than 2 weeks later, the treaty that ended the Mexican-American War was signed, and all of this land went from Mexican ownership to the United States government. They had El Dorado sitting right there, and they just couldn't quite put their finger on it. So anyway, history, who knew?
This is true. Well, and the Fountain of Youth is still somewhere in Florida.
Yeah.
So that's still out there.
Makes sense.
They're still looking for it. All right. Thank you, John. Well, as Jackie mentioned, we spoke with the Rotary, which was a lot of fun. We also had, all of us were in attendance at the Highway 50 workshop as well for Trip to Green. So thank you, Jackie. Or thank you. I'm just all over tonight. I don't know what's going on. I know. What do I have in here? What else? Did that. We had a lot of good conversations this week, actually, with just citizens out in the community, and really getting a perspective on a few different issues that are going on, whether it's homelessness, Trip to Green, just a lot of different things. I appreciate the feedback from residents, just people I saw walking down the street or if I was at a restaurant. So just want to thank everybody for that feedback. It's always good just to kind of hear things that are going on in the community. So thank you for that. All right, we're going to go ahead to item 6.2, which is a presentation from the Fire Safe Council regarding their ongoing activities. And Mr. Morris, I don't know if you have anything to tee up on this one.
Well, just introduce Mark Acuna, who I think we all know, to make the presentation.
Thank you, Mark.
Good evening, Mayor Saragosa. Welcome back to Placerville. Congratulations.
I think I'm still gone, apparently.
Time zones. Congratulations on your new term as mayor. Congratulations to new Vice Mayor Jackie No. Thank you for stepping up and fulfilling those very important roles. I'm here this evening to talk about our second annual Wildfire Safety Day. And I'm also here this evening with one of our two founding members, David Zielinski, who's our board. He's also very famous for all of his hard work with in at-risk vets and homeless vets. He's bouncing off a couple of really beautiful success stories this evening. And also here this evening is Fire Safe Council member Sue Rodman, regular attendee. So what I'm going to do is David will get up and share a couple of interesting things, money, which is always a great thing, and also the FireWise community. So, David, and I'll come back with an update on the big event.
Oh, he's so tall. All right. Let's see. Let's start with FireWise first. Today I got my fourth or fifth rejection for Placerville South, but it's all good news. So we're going to frame this up here. So if you live north of Highway 50 and east of Highway 49, and even beyond the city limits, sort of draw a circle around the city limits. That's basically where the sphere of recognition of the Placerville Fire Safe Council is. If you live in that quadrant, you are a FireWise community. And what's particularly interesting about that is it can help you with your insurance. So there's some financial incentive there. To get there, there has to be proof of investment in fire mitigation matters, home hardening, things like that. So we got the football across the goal line with Placerville Northeast. Then we copy and paste it for Placerville South, and they said, wait a minute. So we're down to we're almost there. And Chief Cordero, I'm not going to add the little extra along Weber Creek yet. I want to get this over the finish line. Then we'll talk about changing boundaries. So anyway, Placerville South is down to just saying who's going to be in charge of Placerville Southeast of that. Oh, so Placerville South, everything south of Highway 50. And southeast will be east of Cedar Ravine, and southwest will be west of Cedar Ravine. So it's going to be one FireWise community, but to make the FireWise gods happy, we're going to have these two neighborhoods inside. And so, we have people who will be sort of the captains for Southeast and Southwest. Mark, bless his heart, is having nothing else to do, is going to be for Southeast. And you might know Deborah Brown. She used to be an ombudsman for El Dorado County and held other county positions. You do know her. Good. And so she'll be for Southwest. I think we'll bend Sergeant Pratt's arm and get a few names from National Night Out, and we'll put together some committees, because both Southwest and Southeast did have some parties on National Night Out. So we'll put it together. So we are so close. Just a couple names, and I think we'll be good. Oh, I hope so. Meanwhile, Placerville Northwest, so north of Highway 50, west of 49, has submitted their application. We haven't heard yet. So our goal is to have all of the Placerville Fire Safe Council environs FireWise. Now, FireWise is a different entity than Fire Safe Council, but that's still part of what we're doing for fire. Meanwhile, $25 million. So thanks to particularly Ken Pimlott, who's the chair of the El Dorado County Fire Safe Council, but he's wearing the hat of working for the county for the El Dorado Wildfire, what is it, Tim? Response? Preparedness, resiliency. And resiliency. Thanks. Anyway, he's doing this as a part-time job as a consultant sort of for the county, but he's there. And a staffer named Sue Hennick, he's helping. So it looks like Placerville will be one of there's only been a few, 3 or 4, but Placerville will be maybe the 4th or 5th pilot project by the state. We're going to get like $25 million. Is going to benefit 525 parcels, as I understand, on the south side. So the Fire-Wise people should be happy. All this work is being done on Placerville South. And that there could be as much as like $40,000 per parcel. So there could be a lot of home hardening done, as well as vegetation mitigation. Just to help you recall, the Paradise Fire, the fuel was not so much the trees in the neighborhood, it was the houses. The houses were the main fuel. So getting the homes hardened, getting the vents and everything else prepared is critical. So I think that's where the money's going to go. So we've got a huge project on the south side. We're not ignoring the other parts. The mosquito fire reminded us that at night the fire can creep the other way. I mean, the prevailing wind should be coming up from Weber Creek and taking out the airport and the hospital, and that's what we're trying to prevent. But other things can happen at night, and winds can come down and creep the wrong way. Mark Egbert of the Resource Advisor, no, that's another one, RCD, Resource Conservation District, is working on trying to get Sierra Nevada Conservancy grants for shaded fuel breaks. Our goal is to try to be CEQA ready, do all the archaeology and everything within a year or two, get that money done, and then get the grant for the shaded fuel breaks and everything. Hopefully not just on the south side, hopefully on the north side too. So basically from Slab Creek down to Chili Bar and things like that. Mark Egbert himself lives on the west side, and so he's aware of the fact that fire could come up the western side from Weber Creek. So he's going to be looking at some shaded fuel breaks to protect himself, so they'll help northwest also. So we're thinking about the whole thing. So anyway, I want to make sure particularly the new council members know that we have some exciting things happening. In 2023, we should have all the money in place, I hope. In 2024, we should have implementation. So we've got one more fire season when we're still at risk. Well, we'll always be at risk, but one more will be more gravely at risk, and then more protection, fire season 2024. How they do? Oh, good. Okay. Actually, since the transportation people were here, I'll say that Dan Bolster, as part of this whole group, has been working on evacuation plans for the whole Placerville area. I mean, how are we going to get the homeless out when the big fire comes through, things like that. So there's a whole transportation evacuation plan that he's trying to work out, too, just trying to think about it, and he's got some grant money for that. I better stop before I go like this from Tim. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I add anything, Sue?
And- All right, we get the trifecta of the Fire Safe
Yeah,
Council.
the trifecta here. I'd just like to really congratulate the city of Placerville for all the vegetation management work they have managed to do this week, or this year. It looks great. Everywhere that I have looked where they have been working, it is a huge improvement. Around the city yards is like a miracle occurred. You know, it's like, okay, and then a miracle occurs and everything is beautiful. And other places have been the same way. So Patty's Goats and our contractors and our city crews have done a marvelous job.
Thank you, Sue.
And we needed that investment to get Fire-Wise, so thank you again, Terry. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time again this evening. I will now spend a couple of minutes talking about our second annual wildfire safety event, which is on March 18th this year from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. I hope to be back at subsequent council meetings as the event gets closer with some updates. We have already moved to a larger location, 681 Main Street, affectionately known as several things: Midtown Mall, Wilkinson Hupsey Building, and there's a new name that hasn't quite caught on yet, but the current owners are trying. But very happy to say that they have been supportive of this event and have discounted the use of the entire facility. So we will have ample on-site parking this year, a larger outdoor display area, and a much larger indoor display area. It would be appropriate to note that of the 15 agencies that are currently planning on attending, there are a couple, three that are our primary lead agencies. And that would be El Dorado County Fire, Placerville Police Department, and then, of course, the combined cooperative working relationship between the Placerville Fire Safe Council and the City of Placerville. So without the combined efforts of all these different groups, this would not be possible. They're very excited to be able to fill up a new, bigger spot so quickly. It's, I think, going to be a tremendous improvement. Town Hall is a trusty old building, but it was a good place for us to practice last year. New this year, now, of course, we've got the whole variety of agencies. Smokey Bear will be there again this year. We will have Captain Cal, Cal Fire's mascot. They'll be in attendance. And, of course, with the large agencies come all the swag that they get to bring along. And so there'll be all kinds of things for the kids and all the way to senior citizens, things of interest. We'll have home hardening demonstrations. We'll have fire truck displays. I had a very good meeting this morning with Chief Cordero, and he is graciously allowing us to use the ladder truck as our primary marker, and it will be extended over the event parking outdoor display with a large American flag. So that'll help pinpoint where we are on the 18th. And very much appreciate his staff and his commitment to making this a big success. We will also have staffing there all day from Placerville Police Department. Chief Wren and I had a great meeting on Monday, and it was thanks to his efforts as a Placerville Rotary member that we have, again, Rotary dogs. The Placerville Rotary Club will be giving away free hot dogs and snacks during the event. So I appreciate them stepping up to the plate again. That was a lot of fun for Rotary, and I know it was greatly appreciated by all the attendees. So that was an exciting developments today. A couple of new things. Learning from last year's interest, I reached out to El Dorado Animal Control, and they were very excited to attend this year's event with indoor display and presentation, as well as outdoor equipment on display. You think about it, we had a small vendor here, a local vendor last year that did a great job, and it really hit a key with lots of folks. We all have pets. We all have animals. I mean, when we've got to have an answer as to what's going to happen to them when we have to leave the house or we can't get back to our house. A huge stressor, and it puts additional pressures on the fire scene as well as the residents in the community. So we are happy to have Animal Control very interested to see what they're going to present this year. And thanks to the Chief Cordero again this morning, we are going to have an ongoing display. It's called the Sand Table. And what it is a wildfire simulation that I believe El Dorado Hills Fire actually owns and demonstrates this. It's about a 4-by-5 foot table that they download virtual reality type thing, and they will actually be able, for our event, to burn down various parts of town for us. They will very easily be able to set up, we're thinking a south and a north side event. And what they do is they load the table to build topography, building it out of almond shells, and then they set the fire off. I believe, Chief, we talked this morning about they use a chain dragging behind a pickup truck that ignites the fire. And, of course, there's a variety of topography and wind, weather, and all that sort of a thing. So it's our hope that we will be doing that at least once every hour throughout the day, starting at 9 o'clock, and resetting the table to illustrate to folks different parts of town. And you will actually be able to see your street. And if no suppression action is taken on the table, on the display, you will watch your street burn. So it's very realistic. So really looking forward to it. I'm sure it's going to be a big draw. And Again, I got to give Chief credit. He came up with a great spot to put it inside the mall. So those are new for this year. I would like to also recognize PG&E came through this year with a $1,000 financial contribution towards the Placerville Fire Safe Council. Found that out late this afternoon, so we appreciate Brandon Sanders making that effort on our behalf. That's greatly appreciated. And I think with that, you have a copy of the flyer. Is there any questions that I can answer?
Thank you, Mark. Any questions from council? All right, seeing Jackie.
I don't have any questions, but I just really want to thank Mark and David and Sue. You volunteer for multiple committees. You always step up when we need people, and just really appreciate all your efforts, and this is no little one. Thank you.
We appreciate that. And I would, of course, there's a great committee behind me and great acceptance by the various leaders of the organizations, and that's greatly appreciated. And of course, Cleve's support is huge, and being able to say that it's co-sponsored with the city does make sure the doors are open for us. So I look forward to being back sometime in February, Cleve, and give an update on how we're doing. David, did I hit all the? I think I hit all the high spots. It's gotten big fast.
No, that's great, Mark. And I remember last year, I actually was talking to someone that had like the filters, like the leaf filters, for your house, and it was actually very informative because it helped me. I ended up making a purchase later that year, and I got the right type that really worked well and kept everything out. So just from that, for me, it was just a great way to look at some devices to help, my house a little bit more in terms of a fire or getting those debris outside of it.
Thank you. And this year, I think something we're going to do a little different is we're going to make sure that we, regardless of the weather, rained a little bit last year, is make sure that the various fire departments that are going to be on display outside, they get a chance to have the spotlight, and we'll have hourly demonstrations outside and shooting some water around, making some noise, having a little bit of fun with the kids and the various fire apparatus. Again, we're going to have tribal fire. They'll be representative. So really looking forward to a lot of fun inside and outside. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mark. And I'll go ahead and open it up for any public comments on this item. All right. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close item 6.2. Thank you, everybody, for the update. We're looking forward to future updates on this and for the event. Thank you. Okay. Moving on, we're going to move to the consent calendar, item 7. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion by roll call vote unless any member of the council wishes to remove an item for discussion. Any items anyone wishes to discuss on? All right. Then I will go ahead and open up the consent calendar for public comment.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to mention that we did receive one item of written communication for item 7.6, copies of which are on the back table for public inspection.
Okay,
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. All right. Seeing no comments, we'll go ahead and close public comment for consent calendar and bring it back to the council for a motion.
I'll move to adopt.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. All right, we have a first and a second. Roll call, please, Ms. O'Connell.
Councilmember Clarici?
Aye.
Councilmember Gottberg?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Vice Mayor No?
Aye.
No. Mayor Saragosa?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Do I have a question?
Yes.
The letter that we received, is that the one about Cedar Ravine?
Cedar Ravine,
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
you should have all received that.
Yeah, thank you.
By email.
Just want to make
So,
sure. Thank
yep.
you.
All right, moving right along, moving to public comment, item 8. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons wishing to address the council on any matter not on the agenda and that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. And we'll go ahead and start with item 8.1, oral communication. So anyone would like to address the council on a non-agendized item?
Good evening, City Council. Sue Rodman, Placerville resident. And my comment tonight has to do with the bridge over US 50 that goes from Lower Main Street and on into Placerville Drive. and there are bike lanes on both sides that are used by bicyclists. And now there are signs warning of icy conditions on each side. Those are good warnings. But yesterday, when I went through there, those warning signs were laid flat in the middle of the bike lanes. Well, and one had a cone and the other had nothing at all. And those signs, instead of being a good warning, become a hazard for anyone on a bike. And so I talked to Nick, and he said, okay, they would pick them up. And I'm really glad to hear that, because they don't, if they're laying down in the middle of the bike lane, they don't serve their purpose, and they just become a hazard. So thanks to Nick.
Thank you, Sue, for reporting it. Any other comments this evening? All right, seeing none. Kurt, do you have any public comments? I saw you walk in, so I thought I'd ask. We're on open comments.
Just curious, do you broadcast anymore live, or is it just during the pandemic?
No, it's on YouTube.
Oh, good. I'll look at it there. It's easy. I've been working all day and thought I'd watch it too.
No problem. All right, I'm going to go ahead and
I think we do have one more, Regina.
A written comment or?
No, these nice people.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I think they wanted to speak.
Please come on up.
So, yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening. Namaste, dear Mayor and City Council members of Placerville. My name is Anshul Mishra, a 10th grader, and I'm a member of the Hindu Swayamsevak Sangh HSS, and I would like to briefly share some information about the recently concluded Seva Diwali food donation drive with you. Chances are you have heard about Diwali, which is also known as the Festival of Lights, which falls in the months of October and November. And during the celebration of Diwali, all Dharmic organizations collectively host Seva Diwali. And Seva Diwali is an initiative coordinated nationally by HSS, which allows individuals, communities, and organizations who believe in Seva Diwali to come together across the United States. The Seva Diwali essentially means service to humanity, a service to divinity. So in other words, it means to give back to the society where we live during the festival of Diwali. As part of Seva Diwali, we collected non-perishable food items and donated them to local food shelters, pantries, and people in need. We are pleased to share that this year more than 95 volunteers in Greater Sacramento, Yuba City, and around the Chico area from 33 local organizations joined hands and collected 8,500 pounds of food in 19 cities and donated to 14 food banks in 6 counties. In the city of El Dorado alone, we donated 650 pounds of non-perishable food items to Food Bank of El Dorado Hills. We give our sincere appreciation and thanks to the Food Bank of El Dorado for the important work they do collecting and distributing food for those in need. To promote community awareness, we had a Seva Diwali car parade where people decorated cars with lights and drove around the city. Seva Diwali in Sacramento was started back in 2019, and since then the event has donated 18,000 pounds of food. Seva Diwali is a national initiative, and in 2022 alone, the Seva Diwali program donated 630,000 pounds of food to over 200 organizations. This donation will serve over 525,000 meals, and this was possible by the people and organizations coming together in 200 cities and townships in 32 states across the U.S. Since its inception in 2018, Seva Diwali has donated around 1.5 million pounds of food nationwide. Dhanyavad and thank you on the behalf of the Seva Diwali team.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all your efforts, especially here in El Dorado County as well. So we appreciate that.
Oh, there's going to be go please.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Can we get that? What you just read there, is that possible to get that? I'd be ready. Just give it. Yeah, give it to the clerk here. Give it to Regina. That's. Yes, thank you.
Please. Go ahead.
Okay. Good evening and namaste. My name is Sushruth Mishra, a 7th grader, and I'm a volunteer at Hindu Swayamsevak Sangh, also known as HSS. The 18th Annual Health for Humanity Yogathon, or Surya Namaskar Yajna, organized by the Hindu Swayamsevak Sangh, USA, started on 14th January. This 16-day event aims to create awareness about yoga and its advantages in achieving a healthy body, mind, and spirit. Surya Namaskar integrates simple yoga postures in 10 steps that, along breathing techniques, can provide immense health benefits to both the body and the mind. Each year on January 14th, Hindus worldwide celebrate Makar Sankranti, a day that marks the changing of the seasons. Makar Sankranti ushers in longer days, which is why the festival symbolizes the sunshine and life. To mark this occasion, HSS has organized Health for Humanity Yogathon from January 14th to January 29th, 2023. HSS initiated this health awareness project in 2007. Now it's in its 18th year. Since its inception, participants of all faiths and beliefs from 43 states across the U.S. have actively taken part in the Yogathon through yoga centers, community organizations, schools, and colleges. Collectively, we have participated in and performed over 4 million Surya Namaskars. Community leaders and many elected officials across the nation have shown their appreciation for this initiative and encouraged their residents to participate and gain the benefits of an overall healthy lifestyle. This year, HSS invites community groups, yoga centers, students, and individuals to learn and participate in the Health for Humanity Yogathon. This program is open to all ages, genders, and races, and we aspire to collaborate with the city as much as possible to reach out to members of our community. Our goal is to get as many people as we can from our city to reap the benefits of this initiative. On the behalf of Hindu Swayamsevak Sangh, the local Hindu community, dhanyavad and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
I need to learn some yoga.
I know, exactly. Yeah, if you want to also submit your comments, that would be fantastic.
I definitely could use some yoga.
I could definitely use some yoga as well. And thank you for sharing a little part of your culture as well.
No, that's way too early.
At a more convenient time for John.
Sure, there's fantastic.
No, thank you both for coming and speaking and giving us a little bit of more information. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment. Regina, did we have any written comments this evening? Aside from I know we had the...
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, we do not have any items pulled from the consent, no ordinance or public hearings tonight, so we'll move to item 12 and item 12.1, which is to adopt a resolution approving a budget appropriation in the amount of $301,002 in the congestion mitigation CMAQ funds for Placerville Drive pedestrian connectivity project. 2, approve $67,450 budget appropriation in road maintenance and rehabilitation account for said project. 3, approve a consulting services agreement with REY Engineers in the amount of $529,154 for said project. And 4, authorize staff to issue notices to proceed to item 1 to REI Engineers for said project and for the project approval and environmental documentation in the amount of $269,048. And Ms. Neves, Rebecca, will have this item for us this evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. As you so artfully read forward, this project creates a new project actually for us, which is the Placerville Drive pedestrian connectivity project. You're all very familiar with the Bike and Ped project and the Bridge project. Well, this project is actually the final piece in creating a safe and active transportation corridor for the Placerville Drive area. This project will construct a sidewalk on one side of the street on Placerville Drive from Fair Lane and US 50 intersection to Armory Drive. The project will also contain other safety features such as installation of rapid rectangular flashing beacon system with in-pavement flashers at the fairgrounds crosswalk. This is one of those projects that we all took note of the need long before the funding actually surfaced. The concept of this project was further developed during the 2022 Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Improvement Program, CMAQ, call for projects. As the city recognizes that this portion of Placerville Drive is in need of pedestrian connectivity and safety improvements, especially in and around the fairgrounds and events center. The project will also consider the addition of bike facilities throughout the project limits. However, as it was made clear in the CMAQ application, that bicycle facilities may not be feasible at this time due to right-of-way and property impact constraints. To clarify, this project is also considered to be an interim project that will address the immediate need for pedestrian safety improvements until the construction of the planned Phase 3 of the Western Placerville Interchanges project. WPI Phase 3 will fully construct the Fairgrounds Interchange, and including a ramp realignment work and significant roadway widening on this segment of Placerville Drive to Armory Drive. The city applied for CMAQ funding and was awarded $2.2 million in CMAQ funds with the required 11.47% match, which totals around $286,750 for the preliminary engineering, right-of-way, and construction phases of the project. This item before you proposes a budget appropriation of $67,450 in the Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation RMRA funds, for short, to cover the preliminary engineering and right-of-way phase local match requirements. The city has received the federal authorization for this project and is ready to begin work. In October of last year, a request for proposals for engineering and environmental services was solicited, and only one proposal was received. Given the use of federal funds on the project, the city has followed the Chapter 10 consultant selection process as described in the Local Assistance Procedures Manual. That process requires that a minimum of 3 proposals are reviewed and evaluated. Otherwise, a justification must be approved by Caltrans local assistance. A panel of 3 reviewed and evaluated the proposal from REY and scored it based on the evaluation criteria described in the RFP, and unanimously, REY's proposal scored very high, demonstrating exceptional knowledge and understanding of the project. Staff submitted a public interest finding to Caltrans local assistance requesting approval to award the contract to REY. And because of the minimum requirement of the proposals was not met, we submitted the public interest finding, which was ultimately approved on December 20th of last year. The project scope and fees for each phase are itemized in staff's report, along with a tentative schedule that places designed to be completed around March of 2024, along with the receipt of the right-of-way certification from Caltrans. This would place the start of construction in the late summer of 2024 at the earliest. The actions before you are summarized in staff's report and include the budget appropriations, including $301,002 in CMAQ funds and $67,450 in the aforementioned RMRA funds, approving the consultants agreement, services agreement with REY, and authorizing staff to issue the notice to proceed number 1 for the project. That concludes my verbal report, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Great. Thank you, Rebecca. Any questions? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and open it up for public comment on this item. All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and bring it back to the council. Questions, statements, motion?
I like the idea of this being done at that particular crosswalk because it is dangerous. Yeah. And so this is great. I'll move the staff recommendation.
All right, thank you.
I'll second.
All right, thank you, Nicole. We have a first and second. Any further comments? Seeing none, we'll go ahead. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Clarici?
Aye.
Councilmember Gottberg?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Vice Mayor No?
Aye.
Mayor Saragosa?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And it looks like Pierre's talking to our new friends, but I also wanted to just let family know that you won't hurt our feelings if you feel like you want to escape from here. Yeah, we have there's a lot more left, so you can stay. You're more than welcome to stay. We love it, but you can also, if you'd like to leave, you can as well. Thank you.
If they sit through this, though, the kids may never want to be involved in local government, so they might want to just...
All right, we'll move to item 12.2. Which is adopt a resolution declaring the following. 1, the underground utility and subsurface failures located at the intersection of Spring and Bedford are an imminent threat to the environment, public health, safety, and welfare. 2, the public interest and necessity demand the immediate commencement of the above described work. 3, substantial evidence as set forth in this resolution demonstrates the emergency conditions that would not permit delay from the competitive bidding process. 4, because of the above reasons, competitive bidding would not provide the advantage for the public. 5, the actions authorized by this approval in the project is categorically exempt from CEQA. 6, approve a construction contract with Doug Veerkamp for the Spring Street and Bedford Avenue storm drain repair in the amount not to exceed $274,650. And lastly, item 7, authorize the city manager to execute the same and approve a budget appropriation in the amount of $310,000 from the Measure L fund operating reserve for said project. And Rebecca has this for us this evening. And I know I hate these numbers, but I know you'll explain more about it. But go ahead.
I don't know. I thought you did a pretty good job.
Good
evening, Mayor and Council again. As you so eloquently read, the various items under the resolution and declaring the following findings. The item before you does create and approve the project and necessary budget appropriations for an emergency repair project located at the intersection of Spring Street and within the intersection of Bedford. Following arrival and impacts of a 350 to 400-year storm that spanned from December 30th to December 31st, a sinkhole developed on Spring Street just north of the intersection at Bedford Avenue on the north side of Highway 50, closing the northbound lane on Spring Street. Following that storm, and just prior to the arrival of another major winter storm and rainfall event, and in accordance with Public Contract Code 22035A and 22050, which allowed the city to forego traditional contracting procedures during emergency situations, the city contacted a local contractor, Doug Veerkamp General Engineering, to stabilize the area and assist in identifying the cause of the failure of the city storm drain pipe that ultimately caused a sinkhole to develop. Staff considers this work to be an emergency because leaving this sinkhole without repairs would create imminent life and safety threats to the public and would further degrade and harm the property. This emergency will not permit delay resulting from the emergency will not permit delay that results from regular competitive bidding procedures because the city is required to abate and repair damage immediately. Staff will return to the council and report out on the improvements that occurred as a result of this approval. Staff met to assess and discuss the causes of the sinkhole, which was determined to be a pipe that collapsed located 50 feet into the intersection of Bedford Avenue and Spring Street. The city has recently completed the Spring Street Pavement Rehabilitation Project in 2021, which included an assessment of pipes within the project limits and found that the drain pipe within those limits to be acceptable condition. The pipe failure occurred outside of the Spring Street project limits, originally thought to be in Caltrans right-of-way. The pipe's failure impeded flow during a significant rainfall event, generating head pressure in the pipe, which found relief at the nearest drain inlet that broke off a section of the pipe and located at the south end of Spring Street project limit line. The head pressure then continued up the pipe to the nearest manhole, where it then stabilized, but then continued to find relief at the failed inlet and surface runoff at the exposed sinkhole. The failed segment of the pipe was exposed, the blockage was removed, flow was reestablished, and the open trench was plated. The northbound lane remains closed currently. The scope and the repair of the system on the road was developed, and an estimate was provided by the contractor, totaling $274,650. This information is provided in detail with the scope and staff's report. The identified funding source is Measure L operating reserve, as all components of the project are Measure L eligible in the amount of $310,000. It's also important to note that Spring Street is identified in the general plan as a collector, which does qualify as a federal aid route as part of the national highway system, and in conjunction with state and federal declaration of emergency, allows the cost of these repairs to be potentially reimbursed by the state or federal government through the Emergency Relief Program. Staff will be seeking reimbursement of all repairs associated with the flood damage that occurred from the recent storms on all eligible roads and will reimburse said funding sources at that time. The project is considered categorically exempt per CEQA Guidelines Section 15269, and tonight's action will award the emergency repair contract to Doug Veerkamp General Engineering in the amount of $274,650 and appropriate the necessary funding to support the project's budget of $310,000. The fully proposed actions and resolution are provided in staff's report. That concludes my verbal report, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Rebecca. And I will say I'm disappointed that so far the federal government hasn't recognized El Dorado County as county that they've declared for in the sense of receiving reimbursements from some of these. I'm still hoping that will happen, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Oh, do you have update, Cleve?
Well, we got some information today, and I'm looking at Rebecca and Dave, that may indicate, because this was on the highway, a federal highway, designated federal highway, there may be funding that will actually be able to be reimbursed. We're not sure yet. We need to research that further.
Yes, and the critical component of this, too, is, when you have flood damage, you're typically dealing with FEMA. When you're dealing with the National Highway System, you're now dealing with federal highways, which is a different federal entity, and so they have a little bit different sets of rules. It's actually a little bit simpler to deal with them. We deal with them all the time on all of our projects, and so it's a little bit easier to maneuver with that funding source.
That would be fantastic news, because this is obviously a large amount of dollars that we're going out with that we didn't think we were going to have to spend, a couple of weeks ago until we got this 400-year rain. So that's.
We'll continue to pursue that, and hopefully something comes up. That's just some information we got today, and I'm not sure if it will apply to us, but we'll see.
Great. Okay. Any questions? Mr. Yarborough.
Yeah, Rebecca, just one quick question, because this is my neighborhood. The house that sits right there where the sinkhole is, did they find any damage, or was that okay?
There's a little bit of erosion there under, it's kind of like a driveway apron, kind of not.
Okay.
This project will propose to reconstruct a portion of that, including restabilizing the subsurface. It also, I want to highlight some of the other improvements, and you may well be aware of this. Anytime you actually physically touch an intersection, go into the intersection, it triggers a whole bunch of other improvements. And one of the improvements that it also triggers is creation and a construction of new ADA compliance ramps there at the intersection. So we do have an existing crosswalk that was repainted recently, and we've had some requests to install some ramps and make it more ADA accessible to neighbors nearby, and this happens to be a situation where that is a necessary and qualifying expense.
Okay, awesome, great, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and open this item up for public comment.
Sue Rodman, Placerville resident and member of the Measure H, Measure L committee. Aren't we glad we have Measure L funds?
Yes, we are.
So that we can actually take care of this now, instead of letting it sit until hopefully the federal or the state government comes through. So, as a member of the Measure H committee, Measure L committee, I am thrilled that everybody voted for those measures, and now we have the funds to do things when there are emergencies. So, good work, Rebecca.
Thank you, Sue.
Hi, my name is Max Thornton. I'm a resident right across the road from the sinkhole. So I watched it all happen over a period of 8 hours. And this is amazing how accurate and detailed the whole thing is. I'm sitting here smiling, and it's like, do you have something negative to say? And I don't.
Thank you. That's always good. All right, any other comments? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public comment, bring it back to council.
I do have one. It really has less to do with this, because we have a couple of these emergency things. Just from a kind of an administrative standpoint, were we prepared for, not prepared, that's not the question. Do you have enough authority under these circumstances with signatures and whatnot to take care of like these, not this specifically, but things in general when it comes to that? I mean,
yes, I believe so.
What is your signature authority right now? I don't remember.
Well,
it was a paltry sum when I left.
My normal signature authority is $25,000.
Okay.
For normal events, but in an emergency, many of those things, I'm the director of emergency services in that case,
okay.
And a lot of those procedures are waived in order for me to take action as necessary for health and safety.
Okay.
So in an emergency situation, it's different. Under normal situations, that limit is $25,000.
Okay. Okay. So, and all right. Thank you.
Good question. Okay. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I motion to approve the project on Spring Street.
All right, thank you.
I'll second that.
Sorry, we have to be a little bit more specific with this one just because there's unique considerations and findings. So if we can just kind of go through all of the specifics, make the findings, find it to be exempt from CEQA. Yes, please. And I'm sorry, but I just need it in the record that you're affirmatively agreeing to all of these.
So basically just reread number 7.
Yeah, if you, so the, now.
1 through 7, yeah.
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 Okay, so I motion to allow staff and city manager to move forward with the underground utility subsurface failures located on Spring Street intersection in Bedford to Evans,
I can summarize and you can move it if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be
Okay.
great.
Okay.
There's a summary.
All right.
Okay.
So the City Council finds that there's an emergency situation in accordance with the Public Contract Code at the intersection of Spring Street and Bedford Avenue that poses an imminent threat to the environment, public health, safety, and welfare. The City Council makes and adopts all of the findings set forth in the resolution, adopts the resolution, and finds that the emergency repairs are exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act in accordance with CEQA Guidelines Section 15269.
I motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Councilmember Clarici?
Aye.
Councilmember Gottberg?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Vice Mayor No?
Aye.
Mayor Saragosa?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rebecca. All right, so I was just gonna say I was gonna shorten as I read this 12.3, but I will take Mona's advice preemptively and go and read through the whole thing as well. So item 12.3 is adopt a resolution declaring the underground utility and subsurface, similar to the last one, but it's a different street, underground utility and subsurface failures located within the city right-of-way adjacent to Placerville Drive pose an imminent threat to the environment, public health, safety, and welfare without immediate repairs for drivers. Passerbys can fall within the sinkhole and be seriously injured. 2, the public interest and necessity demand the immediate commencement of the above described work. 3, substantial evidence as set forth in this resolution demonstrates that the emergency conditions would not permit delay for competitive bidding. 4, because of the above reasons, competitive bidding would not provide the advantage for the public. 5, the actions authorized by this approval is categorically exempt from CEQA. The city manager declared a local state of emergency on December 31st, 2022, and the city council ratified on January 6, 2023. 6, approve a construction contract with Doug Veerkamp, General Engineering, for the Placerville Drive storm drain in the amount not to exceed $35,000. 7, authorize the city manager to execute the same. And 8, approve a budget appropriation in the amount of $34,546 from the Measure L operating reserve for said project. And 9, approve a $4,500 budget appropriation from the TDA, Article 8 fund, unassigned fund balances for said project, and approve a $10,234 appropriation from the storm drain fund, unassigned fund balance for said project as well. And again, Ms. Neves has this for us this evening.
Good evening again. Similar to the prior item, this project before you is to create and address an emergency project located within the Placerville Drive corridor near the intersections of A&A Road and Winter Lane, within the right-of-way, just outside the roadway, and adjacent to Rayleigh's. As a result of record-breaking storms and rainfall, a portion of the city's storm drain system failed, resulting in the development of a large sinkhole. This is considered an emergency as outlined in staff's report and under the city manager and council's ratified declaration of said emergency. Staff assessed the damage and developed a scope for the repairs, and then contacted a local contractor for a quote to address the emergency repairs. The city received an estimate from Doug Veerkamp General Engineering in the amount of $35,000. The item before you, including the various findings, identifies the project to be categorically exempt from CEQA pursuant to Section 15269 of the CEQA guidelines. It awards the repair contract to Doug Veerkamp General Engineering in the amount of $35,000 and the necessary budget appropriations as outlined from Measure L Operating Reserve, TDA Article 8 funds, and the Storm Drain Fund unassigned balances to support the proposed project budget. The full text of the proposed findings and actions are provided in staff's report and the accompanying resolution for the said project and for your use. That concludes my verbal report, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca. This sinkhole is pretty awesome, though. It's like a cool little pool. You go down and go exploring, but yeah, we got to fix it.
Please don't stand too close to it.
No,
Thank
just
you.
sort of look from afar. Yeah, exactly. I was like, that's actually a pretty cool one. And this one's 35,000, so I don't. This is not as horrible as the other ones, so I do care. So, anyways, any questions? A little punchy tonight.
What did you do today?
I don't know. I'm just not sure. All right, no questions.
There's a hole in the ground. We need to fill it up.
All right, I will go ahead and open this up for public comments.
Sue Rodman, Measure H, Measure L Committee. And again, we're really glad we've got those funds to be able to do this, because you're right, that is an awesome sinkhole. I saw this one and I went, whoa, don't fall in that one. So good job. Aren't we glad also that we have a contractor that we can call on short notice who is responsive to the city?
Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Thank you, Sue. Any other comments on this item? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public comments. Bring it back to council.
I'd like to build on what Sue just said there. I work a lot, and as I've said, I work in the truly rural parts of California, and there are a lot of communities that don't have these kinds of resources, not just the money, but the people and the engineering and the construction available to them. They are far from these places, and to have this nearby is a blessing. And then to have a civically minded person who actually tries to help out on these things is even better. So, Sue, you're absolutely right that we have this, and we should be quite thankful.
Thank you, John. Okay, any other comments on this item? Not all. I'll entertain a motion.
Oh, it's so
Sure, I'll go ahead and do it.
Go.
I will make a motion
There
to
you go.
adopt a resolution declaring the underground utility and subsurface failures located within the city right-of-way adjacent to Placerville Drive pose an imminent threat to the environment, public health, safety, and welfare because without immediate repairs, drivers and passerbys can fall within the sinkhole and be seriously injured. And the public interest and necessity demand the immediate commencement of the above described work and the expenditure of public money in order to safeguard life, health, and further property damage that will occur unless these conditions are repaired immediately. And 3, substantial evidence is set forth in this resolution demonstrates that the emergency conditions would not permit delay resulting from competitive bidding because the work must be commenced and finished as soon as possible in order to prevent injury to the public or further property damage. And 4, because the above reasons, competitive bidding would not provide an advantage for the public. And 5, the actions authorized by this approval is categorically exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA guideline section 15269, which applies to projects to maintain, repair, restore, demolish, or repair property or facilities damages or destroyed as a result of a disaster. The city manager declared a local state of emergency on December 31st, 2022, which the city ratified on January 6, 2023. Staff is directed to file a notice of exemption. 6, approving the construction contract with Doug Veerkamp General Engineering for the Placerville Drive Storm Drain Repair Project, an amount not to exceed $35,000 for necessary equipment, services, and supplies to make repairs to the existing damaged underground utilities and restoration located within the city right-of-way adjacent to Placerville Drive. And 7, authorizing the city manager to execute the same. And 8, approving a budget appropriation in the amount of $34,546 from Measure L operating reserve for the said project. 9, approving $45,000 budget appropriation from the TDA Article 4,500 budget appropriation from the TDA Article 8 Fund unassigned fund balance for the said project, and approving $10,234 budget appropriation from the Storm Drain Fund unassigned fund balance for the said project.
All right, thank you, Nicole. I think you and David this is a good work for brand new council members to get those in. Very good. All right, so do we have a second on that motion?
I'll second.
All right, perfect. We get everything in? All right, good. All right. That works. That works. All right, so with that, roll call, please, Ms. O'Connell.
Councilmember Clarici?
Aye.
Councilmember Godwin?
Aye.
Excuse me, Councilmember Gottberg? Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Vice Mayor No?
Aye.
Mayor Saragosa?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. Yeah, we don't always get a 9-point findings, so it's pretty good. All right, so item 12.4, moving on to the next item, which is to adopt a resolution approving a contract with Holt of California for a diesel generator set and commissioning in the amount of $63,891 for the City Hall backup generator installation project. To approve a construction contract with Data Specialties for the replacement of the City Hall electrical service panel and installation of the said standby generator automatic transfer switch and a security fence in the Center Street parking structure in the amount of $191,411 for said project. And 3, approve a $172,898 budget appropriation in 2019 state PSPS grant funds for said project. And 4, approve a $87,404 budget appropriation from the general fund on assigned balance for said project. And Mr. Stone has this item for us this evening.
Good evening, Mayor Saragosa and Council. This item is, in 2020, the city was selected to receive funding from the Governor's Office of Emergency Services in their PSPS program. The original hope back then was that we would purchase new backup generators for all city facilities. However, because of increased costs and a variety of other factors, made that not feasible. City Hall is currently the only major facility without a backup generator. Staff met on site with contractors several times to discuss locations and options, and then received proposals. While the lowest bid received is approximately $2,000 less than the recommended proposal, the estimated lead time is nearly double at 70 weeks. Based on the deadline with the Governor's Office of Emergency Services, it's staff's recommendation to go with the Holt/DSI proposal. This has definitely been a team effort. I'd like to thank City Manager, Assistant City Manager, Mr. Warren, for his help in getting the extension approved with Cal OES, the City Engineer, and also the building official. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Nick, for that. Any questions at this time? I have one, which is of the other locations that we looked at. I mean, this was the only one that was feasible, and I bring it up only because we know that this is going to take out a couple of parking spots. So I just want to.
It is the other location.
There's not a lot of people here tonight, but I know eventually we will hear about that. So I'm just daylighting it now ahead of time, so no one says we didn't mention it.
The other location that was looked at was in the parking lot across the street behind the Liars Bench. There would be an increased cost in that location due to running the infrastructure underground right there. Yeah.
Right. Not in the roof, not anywhere else that you could put it. Right. No.
None of those seemed feasible based on conversations with the contractors.
You couldn't cover up Hangtown Creek and put it on a no. Okay.
All right.
We could try.
How to ask. And just to make sure that we exhausted all possibilities, but we do need a functioning city hall when we have PSPSs or any other storm-related anything else, so that we have a functioning city hall, which we.
So, Mayor Saragosa,
exactly.
Something else that came up too was questions been asked a couple times of why not maybe a portable generator. I saw a head shake there.
the amount of staff time that it would take to take that down there and set it up every time just wasn't something that we would.
Right. No, it makes sense. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions or comments on that one? All right. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and open this one up for public comment. All right. Going once, going twice. No sale. All right. We'll go ahead and close public comment. Bring it back here for either further discussion or motion. Don't everyone hurry at once.
I'm going to move the staff recommendation.
All right.
All right. Way to go.
We're just doing it to the newbies.
It's the emergency.
It is. All right. Do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second.
All right. Thank you, Jackie. With that, roll call, please.
Councilmember Clarici?
Aye.
Councilmember Gottberg?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Vice Mayor No?
Aye.
Mayor Saragosa?
Aye. All right. Exactly. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Nick. I know there's a lot of work on that, and we've done a lot of work on this one to get it up and going, and I'm glad that we're able to get this in on a long-term basis. So, thank you. All right, item 12.5 is a receive and file of council member appointments to agencies and boards, and Ms. O'Connell has this item for us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Traditionally, after the mayor is appointed at the first meeting in January, they will come back at the second meeting with proposals for their choices for other council members to serve on various boards and committees. So attached to this report, you will see the mayor's selections based on council members' interests and availability. And then there are also, these are multi-agency boards and committees, and there is also a couple on the list that are city boards. One of them is the interview subcommittee. Did I have that right?
Yes.
The City Council Subcommittee Interview Team. And that, just for clarification, is the committee that selects candidates who apply for the other various boards and committees. Do I have that right, Cleve?
Yeah, except for, what is it?
Except for the commissions, the Planning Commission and the Recreation and Parks Commission, correct.
Yeah, so like Peak and others, though, we have a subcommittee that interviews them at some point.
Yeah, if we reconstitute a historical advisory, that would also fall under that purview.
So this was just basically a receive and file item, unless you have any changes to the proposals.
Yeah, I know I try to balance everybody's time and availability and try to apportion it out. I know, one, and you may have already heard this, Nicole, but on LAFCO, it's a little bit different because alternates are also supposed to attend the meetings as well, because a lot of times you'll end up being seated with your colleague because somebody didn't show, and I think you were saying that half the time our representative ended up serving because we didn't have a South Lake Tahoe representative or somebody was absent. So it's you kind of get a twofer on that one, and especially with Placerville being on the agenda for this year. So this is going to be important for us to have good representation on LAFCO. Okay, I'll go ahead. Any questions on this or any heartburn, concern? All right, I'll go ahead and open up 12.5 for any public comment. All right, seeing none. This is a receive and file, so thank you everybody for stepping up on these different committees, and any issues during the year or anything else, just let me know, but hopefully this works out for everybody. Okay, we're going to move to item 12.6, which is appoint two public members to the Cannabis Community Benefits Committee for the City of Placerville, and Mr. Morris has this, and then we'll also hear from our subcommittee on this, which is our Vice Mayor and Council Member Yarbrough. So, but with that, I'll start with Cleve.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As you know, a couple of years ago now, 2018 actually, we adopted an ordinance for cannabis businesses. And since that time, there's been various things that have happened. The council also in December of 2020 adopted the community benefit program for cannabis, which meant that each of our cannabis businesses, originally was going to be 3 and then now is only 2, would contribute 1% of their gross revenues towards a community benefit program. That is separate from the 4% retail tax that they pay for cannabis also. So as part of that program, we made up a committee to select or recommend to the City Council what projects, programs should be funded through this fund that was developed. Council has reviewed this a couple of times, and most recently they selected Vice Mayor No and Councilmember Yarborough to interview candidates. We started advertising for this quite a while back in November and ran it through January 5th. We had actually 6 applications. 2 of those were deemed ineligible due to them not living within the city limits. And that really left 4 others, Benjamin Hawthorne, Jack Phillips, Ruth Carter, and Catherine Sylvester. Following the interviews, the committee recommended Benjamin Hawthorne and Catherine Sylvester to serve on the committee. And attached to this staff report is the document that outlines a little more information. The 7-member committee will be made up of the chief of police, the city manager, the director of community services, and then 2 public members, and then 1 member from each of the cannabis business for a total of 7 members. And so with that information, happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right. Thank you, Cleve. Jackie or David, I don't know if you all wanted to make any comments as well.
Yeah, so during the interviews, I mean, we had some great people interview. It was really nice to see people come up and, be interested in it. I believe the recommendations we gave are going to serve us very well on this committee, so it should be really good with them getting this whole thing started. The others that we did interview, we definitely encourage them to come back because they did have definite qualifications and the want and desire to help the community out to apply for some of our other committees that they looked like they would fit very well too.
Awesome. It's great to see that we had actually 6 people put their name forward. We're like begging people for
even people from out of town.
Even for people from I know exactly. It's difficult. So that's really heartening to see the community members step up to put their names forward. So that's awesome. Jackie, anything else you wanted to add?
I'll just echo what David said. We had a lot of good perspectives. We just had 2 candidates who had some unique skill sets that we thought putting together a brand new committee would be exceptionally helpful.
All right. Okay. We'll go ahead and open up item 12.6 for any public comments. All right. Seeing no public comments, we'll go ahead and bring it back to the council. So our options are to ratify the committee's recommendations or provide other direction to staff. And I know we've been working on this one for quite a while. I think over half a year that this has been going on in different iterations. So thank you both for the time and interviewing these candidates for us. So it sounds great. You sound awesome. So we're looking forward.
I'll move to ratify the committee's recommendations.
Thank you, John.
I'll second.
Thank you, Nicole. All right, we have a first and second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Clarici?
Aye.
Councilmember Gottberg?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarborough?
Aye.
Vice Mayor No?
Aye.
Mayor Saragosa?
Aye. All right, thank you, everybody, and thank you to our 2 new committee members for your service to the city. All right, moving along to item 13. These are council report from other agencies. We'll go ahead and start with Transit Authority.
Didn't meet.
All right. Transportation, I know, didn't meet, but anyone have anything they wanted to add? All right. LAFCO?
Didn't meet.
Tomorrow.
All right. SACOG, we did meet. I think the one big issue at SACOG that we discussed, this is, and John, you know this from your work, which is there are now, because we have EDCTC and Placer counties in the same position, the federal government now is cracking down on certain funds, certain federal fundings like CMAQ that matriculate through those that have to go through MPOs, which are the metropolitan planning organizations like SACOG, as opposed to they used to just sort of give us our share and then we would kind of divvy it up how we use it. Well, it's going to be a different process going forward because now they're saying it absolutely has to go through SACOG. It has to be competitive. And the great thing is that SACOG is really working hand in hand with EDCTC and Placer County Transportation Agency to come up with a plan that has us involved from the very beginning, so that we know which projects that we're going to be recommending from a local perspective. Still going to go through the 6-county process now at SACOG, but it's going to be very much informed by what EDCTC staff is saying and what our board's saying, and so we're hoping that the federal government will accept this plan. It was just shown to us as an FYI. It's been presented to the federal government. I mean, the good thing is that we're in good hand. We're in like Misery Loves Company, so like SCAG in Southern California, so Los Angeles and Riverside and San Bernardino, all of those have their own transportation committees in their own respective counties, and obviously carry a lot of clout, much more unfortunately than we do. So if we're found to not be in compliance, they're going to also be in the same boat, and so there's going to be a lot of folks fighting on this front. So I'm cautiously optimistic that they will accept this plan and that we'll be able to go forward in a way that still preserves our local input into that process as we get those fundings and bring them back into the community, and then EDCTC will be able to program those as we go forward. So I just wanted to give that update to the community and to colleagues as we go forward. And John, I don't know if you have any other thoughts on that one from your work.
It'll be interesting. Yeah, this is a new thing. It doesn't really affect anything where I live or hang out. But, my guess is if this plan is adopted or not, the allocation of funds are going to look suspiciously like they did before. And you're right, just being there at the beginning is good. SACOG is, despite what some people might want to think about them, they're not this, our evil overlords. They actually work pretty well with us, and at least in my experiences with them. And I think, like I said, I think no matter how this works out, it'll look a lot like it did before the feds got in,
I agree.
Exercise their muscle.
There would be. It would be long-term harm if that did happen.
It would. Yes, especially not so much in the SACOG region, but I'm thinking SCAG and some like MTC.
Yep.
I mean, there'd be blood in the water if all of a sudden they stopped, funneling chunks of this federal money into one jurisdiction because of a
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to
You'll probably see federal legislation, other things that would happen if that were the case.
It would not be good.
And then the other thing is I was officially sworn in as the vice chair of SACOG, which is pretty funny. Thank you. So I'm really honored to serve in that position, and then next year I will serve as chair, which would be the first time Placerville would be chairing SACOG.
I have a question for next year.
Yes.
Assuming if I'm still your alternate, if you're not there, do I get to be the chair?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I kind of like that, though.
There might be money on the table just to let me
We'll
hold
have
a
to
gavel.
test that. We'll have to test that theory.
At a SACOG meeting. I dreamt of such things.
We'll trick James as we'll just show up at my place.
That's right. Sit down. That'd be funny.
All right. Next one is Pioneer. I did attend the Pioneer meeting. We elected new board members, new chair and vice chair. So Alice Dowden-Cavilla will serve a second term as chair of Pioneer from the city of Auburn. She's mayor. She's great. I actually worked with her in the governor's office several years ago. She's really good. And then John Heidel, Supervisor Heidel, El Dorado County, was elected vice chair. So John will be chair next year for Pioneer. So we'll have the chairmanship next year. And then I'm trying to think of anything else. Just really going through again the numbers. I mean, there's they're reporting like a 19% less than PG&E for our bills through Pioneer for this year, and about 17.5% for on our colleagues in Placer County. So I was just, as I mentioned earlier, I was just asking people around town about their bills and stuff, and it does seem to mirror some of that. It's not huge, you're not seeing really gigantic things, although when we were speaking at Rotary, that one was a huge one. He was saying he had like a $10,000 bill that went down to like $5,500 under a business, obviously, but a substantial difference on a bill, which was really good to hear. But because you see different things and you hear things like, no, it's a scam, or I'm paying more. But at least from the folks that I've talked to, it's been maybe not a huge decrease, but a decrease nonetheless. And, we're hoping that, I think that will be the continued thing. And so David will keep a watchful eye to make sure that those rates stay competitive as we go forward.
It's why you don't want to pay too much attention to Facebook or the comments to the letters to the editors or the stories in the Mountain Democrat. I have solar on my home. I've been in this thing. I haven't noticed any increases in anything, and actually, I haven't gotten a bill for a while now. But when I look at the numbers, they all look like they've come down. We might want to get a little bit more information out about this thing. You got the same 8 people talking to each other on Facebook. You don't want to elevate that too much. But on the other hand, if there is something good coming out of this that folks will have, and what you do is you go grab those, like you grab the person at the Rotary and you say, would you mind, not put your name and your bill in there, but would you mind being a testimonial? And that doesn't mean that everybody's going to be saving money. I mean, I don't know everybody's electrical situation, but I know for me personally, and I've talked to other people around me, they seem to be okay with it.
No, I think that makes sense, John. And I know when Dennis was our person on Pioneer last year, because they had sent out, I remember I got this, and you all probably got it too. It was a terrible mailing.
Oh, it was horrible.
I mean, it was like the Bible. I mean, it was just like, 8 font, and it was double-sided, and it was just not a good way to really spread your message to the public. So there are things, I think, from a public affairs side that they need to do better, and I think they're open to that as well. So, more to come.
If there are if there are people that aren't, that also needs to be daylighted.
Absolutely.
You don't want to be blowing smoke at people. If there's people out there that aren't getting the savings, then you need to know about that too, because you need to know those circumstances under which those things are happening.
Right. Absolutely.
To help with to help refine the process.
Thank you. Okay. Placerville Fire Safe Council.
They didn't.
We kind of got an update, so we sort of know what's going on there.
Meeting either.
No 2x2 committee, and then Opportunity Knox COC will, I believe, meets next week. So more, and if I have this stuff in my inbox, I will forward it on. So okay, I will go ahead and open up item 13 for any public comment. All right. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close public comment, and we will move to item 14, which is a request for any future agenda items. Anything? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move to item 15, which are our city manager and staff reports, and item 15.1 is our December fire station run report. And Chief Cordero, anything you'd like to highlight?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I apologize for the delay in getting the report to you. As you'll notice in the report, the crew's at 25, very busy during the month of December, which then promptly rolled into the December 31st and first week or so of January with flooding. And then just an update to the council. I think you're aware that Medic 49 Diamond Springs was shut down last July. Yep. The RFP to restaff that medic unit did come to County Fire. We're in the process of hiring the personnel for that, and we anticipate probably early March having Medic 49 stood back up, which then will return Medic 28 back down to Shingle Springs.
That's fantastic news. Thank you, Chief. Any questions for the Chief? Any comments? See none. Cleve, did you have anything?
Yeah, just under this one, just mention for the council, and one of these is already mentioned, but just for the public, reminder that we do have commissioner or committee and commission openings on all of our committees and commissions, some of them multiple. I know Peak has 5. I think Planning Commission has 3. Pierre, is that correct? Regina? 4. And Recreation Parks has 3. 2? Just 2? Okay. No, they have 3. One is reapplying, but they still have to reapply. So they have 3. Have I missed any, Regina? Oh, Measure HL
has 3.
Yeah, has 3 also. So we have a number of committee, commission appointments. So please help us get the word out. We're doing everything we can. Emily is with us tonight. She's going to push it out as much as we can on Facebook, and we are also going to send it out to our people that are already signed up for our agendas. it's not an agenda, but we think it's important enough that we try to keep that just to agendas. But
Yeah.
in this case, we want to send it out to those. So just for your information. And then
Cleve, do we have a time frame, a date certain for any of these?
the due date, yeah, it's, help me out, Regina.
That is February 10th.
10th.
February 10th. That's,
Yeah,
I mean,
so
that's fast.
it's coming up quick, yeah. Our goal is to be able to appoint so that they're on board for March meetings. So the goal is that hopefully we get it done so that we can make those appointments at your March 24th or February 24th meeting so that they can begin to attend in March.
Well, and that means we'll also need to look at potential special city council meetings for both
Exactly, yeah.
PC and for Rec and Park Commissions.
Right, between the 10th and the 24th, so.
Yep, and then our ad hoc for our subcommittee for the other ones, so.
Correct.
Okay.
So, could be a little bit of a busy February, I guess. is what I'm
Sounds
saying,
like it.
so.
Could I ask a favor?
Sure.
On the commissions committee thing, because I'm having to do with the Historic Preservation Committee. Once again, you cannot control what people say on Facebook, but I think in all fairness to them, I think in fact it was Michael drove it. She wrote in, they're reconstituting it, and it was kind of like now we're going to have a play in the backyard. No, we need to, and I was going to reach out to Mike. I have his phone number. I'll reach out to him. I believe we will have a historic preservation committee. I really think that that's something that needs to be done. But it is not quite reconstituted yet. That would take an action of this board. Plus, I think we're going to look at their role and their charge. And so if we could just put something on it that says, oh, by the way, if you've heard this, that's great. We love you, but it's not quite ready for prime time yet. I don't know how you would do that.
We did get, that came over our Facebook, and
Yeah.
we did respond to that and let them know that we are looking at it. It was
Okay,
brought
great,
up by a council member,
Perfect.
but it has not been
Yeah. You don't want just
reestablished
people
yet.
going there thinking that, and then they're looking, and then they get
And I'll ask Emily to kind of monitor that. If we get more comments on that, we can push that statement out again.
Cool,
So,
thank you.
Yep.
Like I said, the comments are done for in a good place, but I don't want people to get frustrated if they think something's there and it ain't there.
Right.
Kind of sucks. Okay, thank you.
And that information is, there is still a page for Historical Advisory Committee, but it notes that was suspended and the duties were assigned to the Planning Commission on there. So, one more if I could, just a reminder to everyone that we do have our workshop next Tuesday, a week from tonight, from 4 to 7 is what we kind of pegged that at. So with that agenda, we'll put that out tomorrow. It's really just, the agenda is really just those documents that we'll be reviewing. So
I was just going to say, I'll probably be about a half an hour late. So Jackie, if you could open up the meeting, because I'm coming back into town that day, but I might make it on time. But I'm guessing that with flights the way they've been, I probably will be a little bit late. So. Yeah, unfortunately, this is a Southwest flight, so that's why I'm like, we'll see. So if I'm really late, I will let you all know, but I'm hoping it'll just be a little bit. Okay.
Can I ask, we could move that back a half hour if you want to.
No, I would say leave it at 4 because I would hate, to David's point, if a plane gets completely delayed and then it's an extra half an hour. So I'm comfortable, and I will do my best to try to get there as quickly as possible. But thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Any other items? Any from anyone else? Seeing none. Item 16, which are upcoming items, I will let people peruse that at their leisure. And which brings us to item 17, adjournment. So what is that? 6:30 again. I will I will call this meeting to a close. So thank you, everybody, and good night, Placerville.